without further ado, I'd love to hand it over to our presenter, and she's going to introduce herself and her passion and what she can show us today. So thank you so much. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. I greatly appreciate it. Liz, if you can do me a favor and mind the waiting room, because people are still coming in. I've been trying to do that, but it's gonna be hard to do that and talk at the same time. So we just learned, thanks to Liz, about clicking on participants and being able to click yes if the answer is yes to a question. And so I'm going to start off with a question. Type in yes or click yes if you struggle with the juggle. If you can't get to clicking, then you can just raise your thumbs up.
Could you repeat the question, please?
The question is, click yes under participants if you struggle with the juggle. Now, my next question, click yes again. You can unclick it and then click yes again if your struggle has intensified since COVID began. All right, so we see some yeses. Now, what I want you to do next is enter into the chat room the answer to a question. And the question is, what is it? Oh, if you are not on mute, please put yourself on mute. Thank you. I'll try to do it if I notice it. Please put yourself on mute. I want you to answer the question in the chat window. What is it that you hope to get out of the workshop today? What is it that you hope to get out of the next 30 to 40 minutes? And I'll try to, you can just type it into okay, tips and tools to improve balance, okay. I see if we struggle with what, all right. Ideas for how to deal with COVID fatigue, makes sense, all right. Balancing tips, all right. I'm gonna read about 3 or 4 more, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Motivation to stay on task, reduction with anxiety and returning to work outside the home, provide support, permission not to struggle and decisive about releasing some responsibilities, okay? And I'll read one more. How to find time to wind down, wisdom, connection, and stress reduction, all of the above. Just didn't fully hear the first question. That's okay, Laurel. We're going to cover it. We're going to cover everything that we're talking about. It's okay if you didn't hear the first. Okay. So what we're going over today is the title of the workshop, which is Simple Steps to Diminish My COVID-19 Struggle with the Juggle. In 1806, Noah Webster developed the very first dictionary. And somehow, 170 to 180 years later, my parents terrorized myself and my sister Ayana, who is here today, with this book. Anytime we asked a simple question like, what does a word mean? Their response was always, just look it up in the dictionary. I promised myself that when I became an adult, I would put that book aside and never open it again. Guess how we're going to start today? We're starting with the dictionary. And we're going to start with the dictionary definition of what we're covering, not because I think that you can't understand it. It's more so that you and I and us and we together are all on the same page. So simple is an adjective, meaning easy to understand, deal with, use, etc. Steps is a countable noun, meaning one of a series of actions that you take in order to achieve something. Diminish is a verb, meaning to lessen or decrease. And COVID-19, as we're talking about it, is how our life has changed or how life has changed for you since the COVID-19 outbreak. You indicated that it has changed for me too. Statistics show that women are more likely at 47% than men at 41% to say that our personal life has taken on a major change since the COVID outbreak. Struggle with the juggle, a phrase, meaning difficulty integrating work, home, community, self, or difficulty achieving work-life balance. So the full definition of simple steps to diminish my COVID-19 struggle with the juggle is easy to use actions designed to decrease your difficulty with integrating work, home, community, and self during this major change brought on by COVID. So we're going to use the participants window again, if you can get to it. If you can't, that's okay. I'm going to ask a question. Has your life changed as a result of COVID? Oh, it's a whole lot of yeses. I'm seeing a lot of yeses, including myself. You are not alone. I am not alone. We are not alone. 9 in 10 Americans indicate that our lives have changed since the COVID outbreak. As mentioned before, 47% of women versus only 41% of men indicate that our personal life has changed. 62% of employed Americans are now working out of our homes, in comparison to only 25% a couple of years ago. And nearly 70% of workers cite COVID-19 as the most stressful moment of their career. It's more stressful than 9/11. It's more stressful than the depression that we had around 2008. And the main culprit is that now we are a 24/7, always hyper-communicated culture. Our lines are now blurred. Before COVID, we were kind of able to silo things. So you were able to sort of silo your work, your home, your community, your me time, all those things we were kind of siloed. But now everything is more or less merged together. We have blurred lines. It's not as much of an escape. You don't necessarily have a work commute, after work activities. And so there's less of an excuse not to work more. We've turned our living spaces into workspaces. There is a pressure to prove that you are doing your job and that you are doing it well. And we're living up to that pressure. We're logging in, working 3 hours more per day than we were pre-COVID. And there's a huge spike in terms of logins from the hours of 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. So what does all this lead to? It leads to burnout. And burnout is a state of physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion combined with doubts about your competence and the value of the work that you do. About 45% of Americans currently feel burnt out, and it's mainly due to the workload, the challenge of juggling our personal and professional life, and the lack of communication and support that we're receiving, perhaps at home and definitely at work. So what do? Boy, that's a lot, and you guys probably already kind of knew this, right? Before I get into the 10 simple steps that we can do, I'm going to begin with a quote. The quote actually is related to the very first step. And the quote is from Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo lived from 1802 to 1885. He was a French poet, a novelist, a dramatist. He was well known for Les Miserables and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And Victor Hugo tells us, he who every morning plans the transactions of the day and follows out that plan carries a thread that will guide him through the maze of the most busy life. But where no plan is laid, where the disposal of time is surrendered merely to the chance of incidents, chaos will soon reign. The first simple step that you're going to do is you're going to establish a routine. So for me personally, I'm just gonna be honest, COVID hit the second week of March. On Thursday, before Governor DeWine shut down the school systems, apparently someone within my kids' school of 3,000 plus students plus administrators was exposed to COVID. So, okay, if someone is not on mute, can you please place yourself on mute? I can't really tell who it is. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, whoever it is. So everything began then. We all started, my husband came home, he started working from home, I worked from home, and the 2 kids were here. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? This is gonna be great because I'm gonna have so much more time. Our day before, I got up at 5:15 every morning. I got the kids up at 5:30. We were out the house at 6:15. I had my morning smoothie. I listened to my podcast. Boy, I had a routine. By the time I came back, I was alert, ready to roar and get to work. And I said, well, you know what? What's going to happen when I eliminate all this travel I have to do? Because I drive 2 hours a day just to take them to and from school, and now that's gone. But you know what happened? I didn't set an alarm. I'm one of those people who have to have an alarm to wake up. I was waking up at 10 a.m. and then it got to 11 and then it kept getting later and later. And I'm like, what happened to all that time? Had to make some changes right away. Setting an alarm early in the morning. The whole purpose of establishing a routine is that routines and schedules give us a sense of control in our lives. And what you are going to do is create a routine from the time you wake up to the time that you go to bed. My routine starts either at 6:15 a.m. or 7 a.m., depending on what I want to get done, and ends at about 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. You want to make sure that the routine that you create incorporates all the different priorities that you have, your personal priorities and your professional priorities. I go to CrossFit 2 to 4 times per week. When I go, the class starts at 11:30. So what I need to do, and what I do is I block out enough time, which is 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., which allows me to not only drive to the class, but enjoy the class, take a shower, eat lunch, and then I can get back. And I'm not stressed out because I've already mentally and actually it's allocated on my calendar exactly how much time I really need to get it done. Make sure that you do the same. The other thing is make sure that the calendar that you create, the routine that you create, that it incorporates your energy times. We have high energy times, we have low energy times. My high energy time is from 6:15 a.m. to about 10:15 a.m. During those 4 hours, I can get about 8 hours worth of work done. If you try to get me to do something really mind intensive at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or worse yet at 9 p.m., it's just not going to be a good thing. Consider your energy times and make sure that the schedule that you develop reflects that. Number 2, take frequent power breaks. There's a quote from Anne Lamott. And Anne Lamott, she's still with us today, was born in 1954. She is an American novelist and nonfiction writer. And Anne states, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. More than 40% of our creative ideas happen when we allow our minds to wander, when we take a break. Power breaks are rejuvenating. They help us to avoid fatigue, they improve our focus, and we get more done during those work hours. If we know that we're gonna have a break in 45 minutes, we're more likely to really hone in and focus versus if we're saying, oh, we're just gonna power through for 4 hours. Make sure that you schedule the breaks. Also, schedule in your lunch, an actual lunch break. If it takes you 15 minutes to prepare your meal, don't schedule a 15-minute lunch break. Consider how long it takes you to actually eat. I am the slowest eater you have ever met. And if you have ever had a meal with me, you know I eat slow, slow, slow. You've never seen anybody eat slower than me. So if I'm going to schedule my lunch break, I need to schedule in about an hour and 15 minutes. Because I chew every bite at least 50 times and really enjoy the little meal that I have. Make sure that it incorporates the time that you actually need. Number 3, exercise your body. Exercise your body is not about making you look a certain way or be a certain size or fit into a certain type of clothing. Exercise your body for you. What you're going to do is make sure that you get outside and move for about 30 minutes, doing whatever it is that you enjoy. If you enjoy a slow, leisurely walk for 30 minutes, that's fine. If you want to go on a power run, if you want to go do yoga, Pilates, weightlifting, CrossFit, whatever is meaningful to you, you do that. And why do we do that? Because it helps us to operate better. Not, once again, for how we look, but how it helps us to operate. When you exercise, you increase your blood flow to your brain. And this makes you more creative, and it makes you more productive. It lifts your mood, it makes you feel good, it reduces tension. When I feel stressed out, if I go for a run, I can conquer the world. The solution always comes to me while I'm out there on the path. It improves your sleep and your self-esteem because you can, no matter what you've gone through on that day, you can say, well, I walked for 30 minutes. So no matter what, something else may not have gone right, but I did that. I actually walked for 30 minutes. It counters depression and it counters anxiety. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to think about how do you like to exercise? And if you haven't started exercising, that's absolutely fine. How would you like to exercise? What is it that you enjoy? Put it in the chat window and see what your ideas are. Bike riding. Oh, that's awesome. Walking. Yoga, walking, running, weightlifting, stationary. I'm a CrossFitter too. Biking, swimming, but not during COVID. Walking with my dog. Okay, this is awesome. So you already know what it is that you enjoy: running and rope jumping. In the process of converting a room into my basement to a home gym. Awesome. 30-minute walk. Walking. Okay, so we have some Zumba walking. Okay, you can do all those fancy dance steps. All right, leisure walk. Lots of great things. Keep it coming so you can share it with everyone. We're going to go to step 4. Step 4 is establish healthy eating practices. And once again, it's not about making you look a certain way. It's about helping you feel a great way. Food should be a fuel for your productivity. The higher the quality of the fuel, the better it powers your mind, the better it powers your body. A healthy diet can help to impact the feelings of the daily stresses that we come across. It lowers our blood pressure. It fortifies our immune system. Make sure that you make time for healthy meals. And make sure it's healthy meals that actually work for you. So what works for me is every morning I have a smoothie. It's the exact same smoothie every day. I put some organic coconut water, some chia seeds, bananas, spinach, a couple different fruits, blend it all up with some yogurt and my Vitamix, and I'm good to go. My lunch is a salad. I throw a piece of salmon on top, maybe add a bagel or a potato. And then dinner is always some type of meat and some type of vegetable. And if I'm feeling real fancy and the family was nice to me that day, maybe I'll add in the starch. Maybe, but not always. Maybe. Make time for healthy meals that work for you. And it's not about looking a certain way. It's about being healthier and being more productive for you. The other thing is stay hydrated. Stay hydrated with the most healthy beverage that you're comfortable with. So for me, I like water. See, Hydro Flask. Other thing I like to do is infused water. So today's water is infused with cucumber, ginger, and lime. So I can drink this and I feel good because I haven't really added any extra sugar, but adds a little extra flavor. So stay hydrated with the most healthy beverage that you can make work for yourself. So what I want you to do is go back to that chat window and I want to hear some responses. What are some healthy eating practices that you either currently do or that you know that you can start doing today? Water, water, water. I like that. Water, water, water. I'll drink some water right now. I love smart water and I cannot live without intermittent fasting. Planned meals. Need to restart. COVID took us off task. Okay. I do like water. All right. Cooking at home more. Lime in my water, grains, seeds in my food. Yes, we have a lot of that going on in my household. And wine. Okay, remove red meat from my diet. That is awesome. That means no bacon, and I admire you for that. I don't know if I could ever join you there. That is amazing. Double veggies. Following Weight Watchers plan. Drink 6 glasses of water a day. Cooking at home a lot. You guys are doing some amazing things. You got some great things going. Keep it up. The next step is step 5. Set up a goal process. Now, I told you about my goal process before COVID hit. I get up at 5:15, wake up the kids at 5:30, have my smoothie on the drive, the 30-minute drive to their school while I listen to my podcast, and then on the way back, blast some nice loud music that the kids didn't like. And I was ready to go by the time I got home at about 7:30. And because I've been out in the world, I at least saw, not really the sun, but some fresh air, and I was ready to go. Well, now I don't have any type of commute to go anywhere in the morning. So what I had to do was change everything. And I'm going to suggest that you do the same thing. Build a new routine that lets you know that it is time to start working. So here's my new routine. And it took me a while to figure this out. So I get up, I turn on my podcast, because it turns out that it doesn't just, I don't only have to listen to it in my car. I can actually put on my headphones and listen to it at home. I turn on my podcast, I go downstairs, I make my smoothie. I decide if I feel like unloading the dishwasher. Sometimes I do. It's about a 30% chance that I'll do something like that. Maybe start some laundry, ease into my office, get my diffuser going. My diffuser has water and peppermint oil, and it just scents the air all day and it keeps me refreshed, and then I'm ready to go. Build a new routine that lets you know it's time to start working. Experiment. I've experimented to figure out what works for you. Be patient with yourself. The first thing you try may not work. The second thing you try may not work, and it's okay. You're just going to keep building on those learnings. The other thing is that make sure that you set up some type of distinctive workplace that works for you within your home, if that's where you're working from. Now, because I was working from home before anyway, I already have my office. That's where I'm calling you from. I'm in my office. But not everyone has that, and that's just fine. For some of us, our workspace is our dining room table, or our kitchen table, or maybe our couch in the living room. It could be a pillow, your side of the bed. It doesn't matter, whatever works for you. But make sure that it's a part of your starting your goal process that you set up your workspace to incorporate everything that you're going to need to be successful. So what goes with starting work? Stopping work. Set up a stop process. Ernest Hemingway lived from 1899 to 1961. He was a journalist, a novelist, a short story writer, and a sportsman. And Ernest Hemingway tells us, the best way is always to stop when you are going good and when you know what will happen next. If you do that every day, you will never be stuck. Always stop while you are going good and don't think about it or worry about it until you start to write the next day. That way, your subconscious will work on it all the time. But if you think about it consciously or worry about it, you will kill it. And your brain will be tired before you even start. Build a routine that lets you know it's time to stop. Put everything away if your workspace is not your office. If it is your office, if it helps you to shut it off in terms of your mind, keep the door closed, close it down. Schedule something fun to do after work. If you're not Zoomed out, do a virtual get together with some friends, some family members, go on a walk, make a phone call. So when I was publicizing this video, and we'll talk about that later, but one of the things that I did was I sent out an email to an email distribution list that I use very infrequently. And on that list is Daddy. So every time I send a list out, Daddy always sends me a response, and he says, "Oh, I'm very proud of you, Darren. You do great work. Love you, Daddy." Yesterday's response, or when he received the email, he said the normal response of, "You did a great job. Love you. Very proud of you, Daddy." But the other part was, "And can you please call Uncle Ernie?" So I said, okay, I put that into what I was going to do at the end of the day. And I was excited about that because Uncle Ernie, I hadn't spoken to him in a long time. He's not my uncle by blood, but he is one of my father's closest friends. Uncle Ernie and Daddy have both been members of Omega Psi Phi fraternity for over 60 years. And they both were initiated at the same campus at Morgan State University, and they typically still see each other at least 2 to 3 times a year. So I may not have seen him that often, but the fact that I could brighten up his day when he was in a rehabilitation facility was something that I really looked forward to. So I sat on my porch and did that, and that helped me to be motivated to conclude my day yesterday. Make sure you schedule something that you will enjoy after work. So we're already at step 7. Step 7 is reduce hypercommunication. When I go onto an airplane, and I haven't been on one since COVID hit, we're not even going to talk about the vacations that we were supposed to go on in 2020 because everything's been pushed out to 2021, and that's okay because we're going to have the best 2021 in the world. And so what if we were looking forward to it this year? It's okay, things change. But when you go on a plane, when I go on a plane, one of the things that they always make you do is for your devices, they say, put your device on airplane mode. Okay, you don't have to be on an airplane to put your device on airplane mode. When I put my device on airplane mode, and I do this throughout the day, especially when I'm trying to do some deep think activity, people can still communicate in terms of send me information, send me texts, send me emails, whatever it is they need to send me. But I don't feel compelled to chat. I don't feel compelled to answer them right away because I don't know about it. Use airplane mode. The next thing is limit social media to specific times of the day that makes sense for you. You don't always have to be online. For me, it does not make sense for me to spend a whole lot of time perusing social media between my high energy times of 6:15 to 10:15 because I could be getting 8 hours of work in. It doesn't make sense for me to spend that time perusing the social media feeds. But when it gets later in the afternoon or in the evening and I'm freer and my mind is kind of not as fresh anyway, then okay. The next thing is to limit your COVID news to a few trusted resources. COVID's here. It's going to be here for a while. And any news that we hear about it, for the most part, is not going to be the best news. And we know that. And that is a part of our current existence. It's not a part of our forever existence, but it's a part of our current existence. Limit what you learn about COVID to specific trusted resources and set a time limit. So for me, I do that in the morning. So there are 3 podcasts that I listen to. So I get 40 minutes of news in the morning, first thing in the morning, and I'm fine with that. And then I'm done until the next day. And it can wait 24 hours because to my knowledge, I don't have a cure and no one's going to be depending on me to create one. So I can wait the 24 hours. Remove yourself from group chats that aren't relevant. It doesn't mean that you don't love and care about the people who are in the group chat. It doesn't mean that they don't mean anything to you or that they don't mean anything to anyone else. But if it's a chat that just brings no interest to you at all, it's okay to hit that do not disturb or to leave the conversation. It's okay. It actually feels good when you do it. The times that I have done it, and at first I would think, oh, people are going to get really upset at me. But then when I left, they didn't even notice. So, but I felt better. So it's okay to leave and remove yourself from conversations that aren't relevant. The next thing is delegate. Delegate, 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 professionally and personally. Delegate. I do this a lot. So I can't get myself on different media sources because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy to figure out the strategy and go about doing that. So I have someone that does that for me. I have a publicist that does that for me. Pictures. Creating these elegant, wonderful pictures that really identify who my brand is. Well, Karen, she's on the call. She's the one that does that. She does that for me. She does that for my son. I can't put any energy behind that. I just can't do that. I have someone else who's going to help me figure out this whole social media thing in terms of how to personalize in each of these different areas. Who's much better at it than me? Why not have them help me with that? Personally, we have this thing called groceries. I'm sure you guys have it in some form or fashion. And there are 4 people who live in my house. I have a 16-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter, and boy, they will eat you out of house and home. I noticed that most of what we brought into this house was for them. So you know what I did? I put them in charge of it. They have to identify and state when they feel as though we're running out of groceries. Then they have to fill up the cart because it's all virtual. It's an app. We use Kroger's. We just fill it in the app. And then they have to beg me to please go pick it up. When I pick it up, and that's the only thing I'm willing to do, I drive it into the garage and I say, you guys need to come get these groceries and put them away. And I'm done. There is no reason why I should be the one trying to figure out where the chia seeds, the hemp seeds, the fake peanut butter, because we have peanut butter allergies, and all these other different things that they bring into this house that I know are healthy, but they're heavy. They can handle that. Delegate, delegate, delegate. The other thing is decline unnecessary meetings. You don't have to be everywhere at once. If you notice that you're going to a meeting every week and you don't have anything to say, and you're playing on your phone the whole time, or you're trying to pretend like you're engaged, it's probably a good opportunity for you to decline and maybe not be a part of that one. Step 8, prioritize self-care. There is only one you, and you are the best one who can take care of you. You need to make sure that you are doing that. Be patient with you. Remember, none of us have ever gone through anything like this before, unless someone here was a part of the 1918 flu epidemic. I'm going to guess the answer is no to that. You are not doing it wrong. You are okay. You are fine as you are, who you are. You are doing the best you can. Give yourself credit and give yourself a break. Alexander Hamilton, this is going to lead into the next point, believe it or not, lived from approximately 1755 or 1757 till 1804. He was born on a small island, a British island located in the Caribbean. He came to the United States and he founded the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Coast Guard, the New York Post, and he was the first Secretary of Treasury. In the year 2004, Ron Chernow wrote a biography about the life of Alexander Hamilton. And when that book came out, I thought Ron wrote that book for me, because he is a great author and he's someone that I enjoy. And I was so excited. And I was like, man, he did all this research just for me. And I read that book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought it was just an experience that was just for me. Lo and behold, what I didn't know is that there was a man who was making a name for himself within the realms of Broadway. I'd seen him on Electric Company. He has a performance and a production that he created called Into the Heights, and he was making a name, and I was noticing, but not really thinking too much about it. Well, he read the exact same book and saw an opportunity. Story goes on, Hamilton the musical was released off Broadway in February 2015, on Broadway in August of 2015, which brings us to our point. There is a lyric that's in one of the numbers that's performed that relates to the next point. And the lyric goes, put a pencil to his temple, connected it to his brain, wrote his first refrain, a testament to his pain. When you are having difficulty, when something is stressing you out, write it down. When you write it down, it relieves the pressure and you realize that it's not as bad as you thought. We have property in my family, and the property is located downtown. It's a condo, it's really nice, so on and so forth. And we had a tenant for about 3 years, and then the tenant moved. And so the question is, okay, well, we have to get another tenant. In the area, there's a whole lot of other properties that are up. And so that was, for a second, a source of stress. So what I did is I wrote down, bring positive energy, breathe positive energy into finding a new tenant. And I wrote it down and I say it every day. And you know what happened? No, we didn't have a new tenant, so now that's just too easy. What happened? I know you're primed to make you, Brian. You know it. You just knew what I was going to say next. No. So well, what happened was that we were literally down the street from our place. And our place is in like a really trendy area, on a really trendy block. It's called Vine Street, the Rhine, which is here in Cincinnati. And I said, you know what? We can turn this into our staycation vacation spot because we don't have a tenant and there's some cool things that we can be doing and we don't have to always drive 30 minutes back home. Let's do this. And my husband and my kids were like, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. And so guess what? That's what we're doing. We've turned that into a spot where we can get away. So now we're doing this and now we're realizing, well, wait a second, we can actually go on dates and not have to worry about driving home. So it turns into something positive. We know that we will eventually find a tenant, but we're going to enjoy the heck out of that spot in the meantime. The next thing is communicate what you need. Communicate, ask for help. Do this personally and professionally. You are, each and every one of you are here today because I asked for help. It was not comfortable. I'm the oldest sister. I'm the one who's supposed to give help. I am not the one who's supposed to ask for help. But you know what I've learned? I just turned 50. What I finally figured out is that when I ask for help, people come through. My family came through. My friends came through. My sorors came through. My line sisters came through. You all are all here because I reached out. And it's not like I reached out 3 weeks ago. I reached out 2 or 3 days ago, right? Communicate what you need at all times. Prioritize your relationships. That's the next point. People who mean something to you, make sure that you let them know. Spend time with them. So what if you can't see them? If you can see them, that's fine. But if you can't, call them, FaceTime, set up a virtual talk. Just do something to let them know that they matter. Text. Let them know that they matter. Prioritize those relationships that are meaningful to you. The next point here is make weekends sacred. make sure that your weekends are not filled with work, but they're filled with fun things that you're going to enjoy. Guess what I'm doing? So we're going to end here about 12, and then I have to rush and finish packing because we have an appointment, a very important appointment at the pool. We must be poolside at 3:30, and it's about 90 degrees. So it is critical that we all get ourselves out of this house, and we're all doing different things right now, and down there before our 3:30 appointment at the pool. Find something fun that you enjoy to do on the weekends. The next thing, master something. Master something that is just for you, that you know. Oh, we're sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I am an active member of the Phi Psi Omega chapter. Hey, Sor, okay. And my line sisters are Gamma Theta Spring 90. And there are quite a few of them here today. So, master something. Master something that's meaningful to you that doesn't necessarily mean anything to anyone else. And that has nothing to do with your work, but has something to do with what you enjoy. So you want to know what I'm mastering? Oh, I know you want to know. What I'm mastering is I am learning all of the lyrics to Hamilton the musical. Boy, do I have a long, long way to go. I mean, I've only seen it one time live. I've listened to the soundtrack on Spotify, countless times. The last time was right before we got on the call. And I've watched it on Disney Plus twice, closed caption, so that I could sing and dance right along with it. But boy, do I have a long way to go. And there's no reason for me to do this. I'm doing this because it's fun. At no point will Lin-Manuel Miranda call me and say, Dara, you know, Angelica Hamilton can't make it today. I mean, Angelica Schuyler can't make it today. I need you to fill in. That's just not going to happen. But it's just fun to learn. And I know what you're wondering right now is, boy, Dara, can you spit some lyrics? Can you spit some lyrics? What can you do right this minute? So what I'm going to do is share just a little bit from one of the numbers. It's called a right-hand man. And right-hand man is, for the most part, at this point, sung by George Washington, the character who plays George Washington. So here we go. I'll try to spit it out for you. We are outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, outplanned. We gotta make it all outstand. Hey, yo, I'm gonna need a right-hand man. Check it. Can I be real a second? For just a millisecond, lay down my guard and tell the people how I feel a second. Now I'm the model of a modern major general, the venerated Virginian veteran whose men are all lining up to put me on a pedestal. That's all I got for you today. But master something that you enjoy that's going to bring you joy. The next thing is meditate. And when I say meditate, you don't have to go into a special chamber for 20 minutes and think about nothing. I'm just not going to do that, and I don't do that. Find a way to mindfully meditate that works for you. You can't think of anything? I'll show you what I do. There are 2 phrases that I write down. And I just say it to myself a couple times, and it just really calms my mind. So the first phrase is get success, stay focused, be happy. Get success, stay focused, be happy. I say it a couple times, and it just really calms me. The next one I do is a phrase that I also write down. Meditate on peace, happiness, and gratitude. Meditate on peace, happiness, and gratitude. And I just let my mind wander for a few minutes. And it brings me back into myself, and it makes me feel whole. You can meditate in the way that is meaningful to you. You can set a timer for a minute, then you can try 2 minutes, then you can go up to 5 minutes. You can use an app if that works for you. If you need the whole shebang and setting up a whole area to do it and that's what works for you, then that's what you do. But find a way to quiet your mind. Step 9, can you believe we're almost at the end? Engage in laughter. Humor puts things in perspective. I'm going to show you a short video that I created that does an amazing job of explaining this. Just one second. Okay, I gotta find it. Engage in laughter. And before we go to our final step, I noticed there's some things in the chat window. Oh, let's call Lynn now. Okay, hold on now, because this is what I was spitting my lyrics. We definitely want to read this. Love Hamilton. I will be watching it again today, but just in case you get a shot, watch Hamilton for the first time on Disney a few days ago. I'll join you with like, yay! Okay, so Bethany, if we're going to do this together, we're going to have to schedule some calls where we just literally watch it together and we'll do it. Yes, love it. We fell in love with Hamilton recently too. I don't know. I didn't know it was so historical. For some reason, I thought it was political. We loved it. I also saw Hamilton in person. Okay, Disney Plus was my first exposure. Oh my gosh. Disney Plus was my first. Okay, go ahead, lady. Go, Dara. Fired. Let's call Lynn now. This is funny. Okay, how do you guys put the emojis in the chat? Yeah, I want to know that too. Not throwing away my shot. I love Hamilton. Went to the theater and on Disney Plus. This is awesome. We're at our 10th step. And if you have not been taking down notes this far, shame on you. No, I'm just joking. If you haven't taken notes from now, I would suggest that you do write down this 10th and final step. The 10th and final step kind of corrals everything that we've talked about together. And it is recognize and appreciate the value of work-life balance. Oh, I'm going to say it again, just in case you didn't catch it. Recognize and appreciate the value of work-life balance. Be able to communicate the value of work-life balance. And what is it again? What is work-life balance? It's the absence of conflict between our personal and our professional domains. It is a synergistic relationship between all aspects that are important to you. Your work, your family, your friends, your community efforts, your me time, your health, everything that you stand for. So I want you to put in the chat window, why is it important to be able to communicate the value of work-life balance, and who do you think you should be able to communicate this with? I'm waiting for you. Let me open the chat box now. With your employer, most definitely. Be able to communicate it with your employer. The best, yeah, a balance allows my family to have, was I reading too slow? Allows my family to have the best me I can be. We need to communicate it to ourselves until we believe it, yes. And your family, spouse, kids. Don't set your boundaries, yes. Communicate to anyone you need. My family needs to understand. Important because it relieves stress. Wow, yes. I'm going to save this chat for them because you guys coming up with some really good stuff. To myself. Self-employed, self, yeah. Very good. You need to be able to communicate it to anyone that means anything to you and that impacts you in any way, like you said. You've already stated here. To yourself, to your employers, to your family, to your significant other, to your kids, to anyone who touches upon your life. So, what is it that you're going to communicate and that you're going to make sure it's clear? The first point is that when you recognize and appreciate the value of work-life balance, when you have work-life balance, it increases your individual productivity. When you focus on what matters to you outside of work, you become more productive within work. The next thing is that it increases the productivity of your team. It increases team productivity. Depression, anxiety, irritabilities, toxic cultures are all things that happen when a group of individuals who do not have work-life balance are all together. When you reduce those feelings, the teamwork that results is a lot stronger. The next thing is that it improves retention. People stay because they are happy and more fulfilled. We must treat people how they treat us, yeah. Okay. The next thing is that it improves engagement. Encouraging work-life balance helps us to feel more positive. When we feel more positive, this is the key to unlocking our productivity, our performance, and retention. It also makes hiring easier. Work-life balance becomes a part of your brand. It's a part of who you are, what you stand for as an organization, and it makes it easier to attract top talent. It boosts diversity. People who may not have considered your organization or your company or your industry before are more likely to come aboard because they recognize that you don't see them as just another automaton. That you're an individual that has personal and professional obligations or interests. So that takes us to our 10 steps, and I'm going to review them. The first step was to establish a routine. The second step was to take frequent power breaks. The third step, exercise your body. The fourth step, healthy eating practices or establish healthy eating practices. The fifth step, set up a goal process. The sixth step, set up a stop process. The 7, reduce hypercommunication. The 8, prioritize self-care. The 9th, engage in laughter. And the 10th, recognize and appreciate the value of work-life balance. So you are now equipped. You have the simple steps to diminish my COVID-19 struggle with the juggle. And we're going to conclude with 2 things. First is a quote, and this quote is from Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou lived from 1928 to 2015. Amongst many other accomplishments, she wrote 7 autobiographies, several books of poetry, and she was a professor. And Maya Angelou taught us, do the best you can until you know better. Then, When you know better, you do better. You now know better, you now can do better. So if you learn, we're gonna have questions and answers in just a second. But if you learn something, this is what I'm gonna ask of you. Don't be quiet about it. Don't be selfish. Share it in any social media context that you feel most closely aligned to. If you like Instagram or Twitter, tag me. You can tag me at Simple Better SOL. If Facebook is your thing and we're aligned already personally, tag me at Dara Ward Fairman, or you can tag me at Simple Better Solutions. If Google just floats your boat, then Google Simple Better Solutions and give me a 5-star rating. I'm sure I left out, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I am Dara Ward Fairman. Oh, tag me as at Dara Ward Fairman and talk about what a great, great time you had during our workshop today. So with that, I am going to say thank you, and we'll have questions if anyone has questions.
Can we have a round of applause? That was amazing. Thank you so much.